Welcome back to the Understanding the Basics of Mediumship. We will be studying, this is part 4, and we'll continue studying the chapter 1. Right, so we are working on the second part of chapter 1 and continue studying mediumship. And we are looking really to understand better the book in the domain of mediumship. And if you're interested, Amazon has this book. You can buy either online or you can use Kindle, whatever you feel like. You can have this book. So we stop at this part of chapter 1, and I'm going to read to you again so we can kind of recap what we talked last time. If you didn't watch last time, go ahead and at the bottom here I'm going to leave a link to where you can find all the videos, and you can watch in sequence if you prefer. So that's what we said. Our mind is a nucleus of intelligent forces generating a subtoplasm that offers objective resources to the images of our own imagination under the command of our own designs. So pretty much what they're saying here is that everything that you think, it creates forms, right? Or they call subtoplasms, that it's kind of image, right? That it's right there. It's a form that is created when you think about anything. So really our mind creates all the forces and generates real shapes, and based on the commands that you are providing with your mind. So the idea is an entity organized by our spirit, to which our thoughts give form or shape, and our will impresses movement and directions. So really, when you think, it creates a form, a real form. And this form, based on our own idea and the thoughts we have, will have a shape that can have movement and direction. So when you think something, you are really creating this entity that's going around based on the quality of the thought you have. So from the conjunction of our ideas, our own personal existent results. So ourselves, we are the results of our own ideas, right? And that means your experiences, the life you live, the things that you attract to yourself. Those are all results of your own decisions, of your own thoughts. So nobody should be surprised by the things they are living, because they are the ones attracting everything that they go through with their own thoughts. Moving on. So once we kind of recapped a little bit what we talked earlier, now this is a new introduction of the second part of chapter 1. All living beings breathe within the psychic wavelength that is unique to them. So let's rethink about this part, how important. All living beings breathe the psychic wavelength that is unique to them. So not only you are creating something and sending out through a wavelength from your thoughts, but you also breathing the same entity that you are creating. So anything that you do is first absorbed about yourself. And they continue within the dimensions that are characteristic of them, or in the frequency that is particular to them. Meaning that anything that you're putting out, you always putting back in. So you are always the first one to be impacted by anything that you send out to the world. And whatever you're sending is your characteristics with the frequency that you are at this point in life, that it's compiled by the thoughts that you have. So this process does not depend on the central nervous system once it's flowing from the mind. That means your mind, which is a reflection, right, of your spirit. Your spirit will create all your thoughts, all your ideas, and consequently your experiences. And it's not dependent of your physical body. It's really coming from your spirit. It is then the one that conditions all the phenomena of organic life within itself. So it means that it's not your physical life that is commanding your mental processes, but your mental processes will command your organic life. Also, we need to keep in mind that this process, it's kind of a two sides of a story, where yes, your physical mind your physical mind is creating all the environments you live in, and by that you impact your physical body, and now again your physical body, it's impacting who you are. So it's kind of a mix of real interactions with between your body, your mind, your spiritual body, your physical body, your spiritual body, and your mind. Now it says, we cannot lose sight of the mental world of the agent and the receiver. Now, he's talking about the agent is the one who is thinking, and the receiver is the one who is receiving. And if you're thinking about, for example, a interaction with the spiritual world, the agent could be a spirit, and the receiver could be somebody who is here in the physical body, for example, a medium. And vice versa, if it is a physical person here sending out the information, it could impact the receiver, right? So, and we can also think about two people in a physical body. One is receiver and the other one is the sender, is whoever is it. So it doesn't really matter. You're talking about two entities that could be spiritual in the spiritual world or in the physical world, or both in the spiritual worlds or both in the physical world, but they are interacting. So, and let's really pay attention, because this is an important point. The receiver's intelligence is colored by the thoughts in which it lives. Again, the receiver's intelligence is colored by the thoughts in which it lives. The sender's intelligence submits to the limit and the interpretation of the thoughts that it's capable of producing. Ooh, this is a lot of information in a very small passage, right, in a very small paragraph. So your ability to receive something and interact with the sender will really depend on your intelligence and your abilities to process the thoughts they are being sent into you. So the same way the sender's intelligence submits to the limit and the interpretation of the thoughts that is capable of producing. So if you are sending something, the ability of the receiver, the person who is receiving the message, to interpret what you're saying will depend on their own capacity, mental capacity. And the interaction between the sender and the receiver of a specific message will depend on both the ability of the sender, right? The intellectual ability of the sender and the intellectual ability of the receiver. And there's, I think, a good example here in this next slide to clarify a little bit a better understanding of this passage. And that says, a knowledgeable primitive discarnate. So this is talking about spirits that don't have a physical body, right? So they are in the spiritual world, communicating with wise individuals. And then we are talking about wise individuals, somebody who are here in the physical world. So the spirit is in a primitive, has a primitive mind, and the one here, it's the physical body is a wise man or a wise woman, a wise individual, who are still attached to the physical body, can only offer to them trivial subjects concern the primitive experience on earth. Well, let's try to interpret a little bit of what happened here in this process. So if, let's say, you have a medium here who is very intellectual, read a lot of books, it has a major understanding about life, but the spirit communicating with this medium is a primitive spirit with poor knowledge about life, not many experiences, and really just a lot of physical attachment to the physical body. So this spirit, which is the sender, right, is the one who's sending the information to the medium. It will not have a lot of things, high quality things to discuss, because this spirit is a primitive discarnated one. So just because you discarnated, right, doesn't mean you became enlightened. So your communication with the medium will reflect your primitive or wise background. I hope you kind of got what happened here. So the same thing will happen opposite. So wise people without their physical body enter in a relationship with a primitive attached to the African habitat will not succeed in giving their immediate cooperation. So what does it say here? What I'm trying to explain that the opposite also happens. So let's say that you have a spirit, a very wise spirit, or a discarnated spirit, who here before they passed away, they studied, they were very intellectual, they have a lot of knowledge. Now it's using as a medium somebody with primitive intellect. So it's not somebody really wise, didn't read much. It's somebody who is very attached to physical things. And this wise spirit is trying to communicate with a medium that it's really primitive. Guess what is going to happen? It's going to find a hard time. It's going to be very challenging to convey the messages, because the medium always interferes, one high percentage or a small percentage, depending on the type of communication, but it impacts every message. So if I am wise and I'm trying to communicate information that the medium who has a primitive mind can grasp what I'm trying to say, it's gonna have I'll have a very difficult time processing the information. So, and we can think a little bit like this. So imagine that you have a person who has a very primitive mind, and then I say something and I expect this person to translate what I am saying, but the person doesn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge about the area that I am mentioning. For example, I can get somebody who is translating from English to Portuguese in the medical field, right? I'm a doctor and I'm trying to explain using very robust vocabulary. And when I say that to the person who's translated, but the translator doesn't have that vocabulary, it can't find the words and can't understand what I'm trying to say. So it's gonna be something similar to that that may happen if you have a medium that is really not knowledgeable or and with a very wise spirit or discarnated. So it says it's like a tree that produces better when situated among the same species with which it can germinate. So if you have, for example, a sender that has similar intelligence of the receiver and knowledge and etc., it will be much easier to make this translation of information. The same way that if I speak English and I'm waiting for somebody to translate to Portuguese, and I have medical background, and the person who is translating also has the medical background with knowledge about the vocabulary that I'm using, then the translation will be a lot more accurate and will convey much better information than than somebody who didn't have the knowledge. Moving on, in mediumship, we cannot overlook the phenomena of attunement. Attunement meaning that the connection, right, that the medium has with the discarnated spirit. So it's very important that we are connecting with the right level. And then he says, we attract spirits that attune with us, into which we are also attracted. So your thought process, your energy, your aura, which is the energy around your body, will attract people very similar to you. So the same way that if you go to the library, you will see people there reading. If you go to a bar, you will see people drinking. You connect your spiritual area, environment, aura is connecting, it's creating this ambience, right? That could be an ambience of high level thoughts or ambience of low level thoughts. And the ones who will connect with you are the ones who have the same level. They are tuned with your energy levels. Consequently, it's important to pay attention to what is the environment that you're creating around yourself with the thoughts that you are emitting, because that's gonna tell what kind of spirit will feel comfortable connecting with you. So the mind is the basis of all mediumistic manifestations in whatever matter they are expressed. Keep in mind that you are the one creating the ocean of energy around you. So it depends only of you what you're attracting and you are sending to the world. It is indispensable that we use moral and cultural treasures to expand our thinking. So the more limited thinking you have, the more limited spirits you attract. The more you study, the more you keep high moral levels, the better connections you are having. So pretty much the energy that you are sending to the world and you are breathing and you are connecting and showing is going to be the one pretty much that people are seeing and feeling attracted to, and the spirits will feel and be attracted to. But the more you try to develop yourself intellectually, culturally, and morally, the higher level spirits will connect with you because they will just feel comfortable with you. They're going to tune with the same level of energy that you have. So the values expressed in them make it possible to fixate the light that descends toward us from the higher realms through the genius of wisdom and love that oversees our experiences. So pretty much when you value those, small decisions, when you value your thoughts, when you keep trying to express your thinking in higher levels, then you will connect with those spirits that are genius, with wisdom and love, that are really interested in the same level of experiences that you have. So mental reflections either favor our procrastination or compel us to go forward. See, it's so important, this part, before we actually move forward with the rest of the book, because everything it's about your mental stage. Whatever decisions you make on a regular basis, right? So you can't be a median once a week for 1 hour. You are a median 24/7 when you make choices, when you meditate, when you know breathe, when you pray, also when you go to the bars, when you connect, you're angry or you connect with other people on lower levels. Whatever decision you make, whatever mental reflections you have that can favor you or in one direction or another. So each person lives in the heaven or hell that one has made for oneself in the innermost recesses of one's heart and mind. So pretty much the world you live in is the world you are creating for yourself. So psychic strength is natural to all individuals, meaning that everybody has a level of mediumistic experience. So that's why everybody can be part of an obsession. And as we talked before, so obsessions when a spirit or could be another incarnated person who keeps mentally connected with you and kind of impacting how you interact with the world. So everybody has psychic strengths. Some have more, some may have less, but everybody can do that. But then he says, but mediumistic perfection without the refinement or purification or of the individual, it's not possible, because you are always connected with yourself, your environment, and other people around you. What it makes a difference, what makes you really refined in your connections, it's how you choose to behave and the decisions you make, positive or negative, on that regular basis. So it is counterproductive to intensify the movement of energy without disciplining our impulses, and it's dangerous to possess this ability without knowing how to use it. And this is so important, because I often hear people say, I need to develop my mediumship abilities. And then I ask people, are you sure that you want to just develop those abilities? Because the problem is this: you, the more you refine your abilities, the more connections you have with the spiritual world. But if you are not connecting with higher level spirits, guess what's happening? You are refining your ability to connect with inferior spirits. And this movement, instead of helping you, can really hurt you in a very, very deep level. And later on, we can talk more about different types of obsessions and how spirits can really interact with us. So, pretty much being a medium means you are a tool that translates information from the spiritual world to the physical world. The connection that you make, that's up to you. You are just a tool, right? If you think about a tube, in the tube, you can put clean water inside and the clean water will come the other side. You can put dirty water on one side, the dirty water will come out on the other side. The tube is the same. So the medium is the same. But who you connect with will make a difference, can make your life more enjoyable and healthier and fulfilling, or can make your life miserable. Because if you all the time connecting with lower level spirits, guess what's gonna happen? Right, exactly. You will be miserable. So it's often, depression, anxiety, and many other issues could be a part of the process. Of course, and exists, physical issues and mental issues, but some part of that, it's probably also the connection the mediums have with lower level spirits. Because as a medium, if you don't keep yourself in a higher thought process, you will connect with lower ones, and how they feel and how they interact, where they're at, that's what you're going to be feeling as well. So mediumship is itself not enough. And I'm going to say this again so it's very clear. Mediumship in itself is not enough. It is essential to know what type of mental wavelength we are assimilating to, so that we can recognize the quality of our work and evaluate the direction taken. And then this next part, that it's not from the book, I just added. More important than going fast is going in the right direction. So often, people's like, I wanna develop in my mediumship abilities. I can do this, I can do that, and I say, well, hold on a second. Before you wanna really refine your abilities, you have to evaluate which directions you're going. Because if you are connecting with lower level spirits and you start refining, guess where you're going? To the hole. And you're getting yourself into an even worse place. Before you can really refine your abilities, you need to make sure you are able to connect with higher level spirits. And how do you do that? Through discipline, and discipline. So you need to, Jesus says, right, pray and watch. So you need to keep your high levels of thinking and really watch for your own behavior. So when you go out of the way, you bring yourself back. So developing your mediumship abilities, refining your mediumship abilities, it's about not only working on your skills, but primarily working on your ability to stay sane, your ability to focus on positive things. Because if you just develop your abilities and you already connecting with lower level beings, lower level discarnated, if you tend to go to bars or go to smoke and go to places that really the probability of having lower level spirits there are really high. So that's where you're connecting with the people. So more important, they go fast to the directions. Make sure to any places, make sure you're in the right direction, because you don't want to go straight to the hole. You want to make sure you're bringing yourself up together with your mediumship ability. So this is what we have for today. I hope you enjoy. I know sometimes this material is usually not the kind of things that people think about before refining their mediumship abilities. So I really want you to think about how you're choosing to live your life. Pay attention to what kind of things you are connecting on a daily basis, how you feel. Do you usually feel, by the end of the day, do you feel great about your life? You feel fulfilled? You feel life is a joy? Or you feel miserable? You feel like life is difficult? So think about where you're at mentally and what kind of spirits you are already connecting with, what kind of thoughts and what kind of shapes you are creating on a regular basis, because the more you develop your mediumship, the more you're going to feel that way. So make sure that you work on your feel good process, your connection with higher levels, before you really think about refining your mediumship. So I'm going to be posting this information you have later on, ways to connect with us. My name is Monica Teixeira, and I will next week continue reading the book and practicing the mediumship processes, so we can all understand a little bit better and really learn how to practice mediumship in a safe way. I hope you have an amazing week and stay tuned.